Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, a rich entitled Karen thinks she is above the law and crashes into my car after I supposedly stole her beer. She ends up calling the cops on me and lying to them, trying to paint me as the criminal. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. The first one starts like this. I'm a long-time lurker but never had the opportunity to post a story about an entitled Karen until now. So I went to the grocery store one night and during my shopping decided that I should go and buy some beers. It was a pretty empty shelf, but I managed to grab the last 6-pack they had. Later, when I was checking out, I was chatting with the worker and talked to them about there basically being no beer and me finding it funny. Turns out they did not get their last shipment due to a truck problem. This story is about a Karen though, so right behind me in line, a woman perked up when hearing about the beer I had. Karen, you're the one that took the last of the beer, right? Give it to me right now. I deserve it and you haven't bought it yet. That clearly means I can claim it for myself. Me, wow, you must think you're something special to try and force me to give you something like this. Maybe if you asked nicely I would have, but no way I'm going to do that now. Also, based on your glazed eyes, I would guess that you've had enough to drink. Karen, F you, give me my beer or I'm gonna make your life miserable. Me, well, you're making my night miserable right now, so I guess mission accomplished for you. I finished paying and went out to my car to go home. If you cannot already tell, I don't like to put up with people's crap and call them out for it. On the way home, I notice a pretty fancy and expensive car following me. I only live about 5 minutes away, but I start making unneeded turns and going up and down every street. Sure enough, the car keeps following me and I find it very unnerving. I park my car in front of a random person's house and lock the doors. It's a well-lit area and I just want to take a minute and maybe call the police. Not even a minute after stopping does the person ram their car right into the back of mine. I jolt forward but luckily have my seatbelt on and don't get hurt. I look in the mirror and see Karen herself getting out of the car and walking over to me. Fear is gone and replaced with anger, and I also get out to see the damage and yell at her. The rear bumper is ruined and just for reference, I don't have the nicest car, but it gets me where I need to go. Weirdly enough, she is the one screaming at me about the entire thing, despite the fact that my car was not moving and she was following me. Karen, look at my car, you're gonna pay me for this. And also give me that beer, maybe then I won't call the cops and have you arrested. Me, are you out of your mind? I'm not paying you a cent for the crash you caused. You are the one that crashed into my parked car. Karen, I'm calling the police. You have no idea who you are messing with. I'm a millionaire and they will believe me. She then actually does call the police, saying I smashed into her car and stole from her. When they arrive, they actually think my car is hers because it was clearly the one that got hit. She tells them that she wouldn't be caught dead in that piece of junk and points out her car, which has a broken front light from the impact. Officer, so you're saying he hit you? The damage does not really make sense if that's the story. Karen, well, he did. He was jealous of how much money I have and wanted to attack me. Then he stole beer from the trunk of my car. Officer, sir, did you take beer from her car? Me, officer, she followed me all the way from the grocery store. I bought the last of the beers and she started throwing a fit. Then she hit me with her car and called you up. I can show you my receipt for the beer in my car. The police didn't want to see it and were not buying a minute of her story. None of it made any sense anyway, and they were mainly going to do an incident report for me to send to my insurance company. They made sure to get her insurance information and give it to me for when I filed the claim for the repairs. She was yelling about wanting me to pay for her car repair in cash, and they told her that my insurance was not gonna cover it and I didn't have to give her anything. Due to the nature and seemingly fighting over beer, the police wanted to do a breathalyzer test on both of us. As I had not been drinking, I was fine taking one, and it came up that I didn't have anything in my system. Karen, on the other hand, started throwing a fit about it, saying that she was not gonna do a poor people's test. She supposedly made enough money to buy the department and they should just write in the notes that she was sober and take her word for it. They basically gave her the choice of doing the test and being let go if it was within the limit, or getting arrested and having to get tested at the station because they suspected she was drunk. She finally took the test and was well over the legal limit when it came to driving. They told her she was gonna be arrested and she did not take that news well. She ran over to my car and started punching and kicking it. screaming that it was my fault and taking steps towards me before police got her under control. I could hear her saying that the limit didn't apply to her and that they had to check their records to see who she was. She really felt the law when it came to drunk driving did not apply to her and I was still the one in the wrong. Once she was taken away, the rest of the police staggered away and I was left to drive home with my broken car and get it to the shop the next day. I was shaken up and ironically drank one of the beers this whole thing was about to calm my nerves. I'm a firm believer in not letting Karens get their way because it just encourages that kind of behavior in the world. I also believe though that if you are getting mugged, you just give them the stuff because your life is more important. With this in mind though, if I was to go back knowing all of that would have happened, I think I would have just given drunk Karen the beer. I was without my car for 2 weeks and even though I did not have to pay, it was still an inconvenience. I'm curious to what you think about this situation. If you knew what would have happened, would you have kept the beer like I did or let the crazy Karen have it and avoid the car wreck? And yeah, Ripe Stars, I will relay this question to you. What would you have done in that situation? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, I would very much appreciate it if you could also post some star emojis in the comments as well as like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much. The next one is titled, Neighbor attacks my pregnant wife with a shovel for not removing snow from our driveway. Me and my wife live in a small apartment, so when she got pregnant, we took that as our push to move to a bigger place. We had been saving for a house and we managed to find one for a decent price and it looked good. At a glance, you might wonder why somebody would want to leave a beautiful affordable house in a nice neighborhood. I don't know the actual answer for why the previous owners moved, but I would not be shocked if it was because of the guy living next door. So this neighbor was somebody I would call a Karen, but he was a guy, so for this story I'm gonna call him Kevin. By the time we got settled into the home, it was the fall and right away he started having small annoying issues with us. The first introduction to the guy was when we were still moving in boxes and unpacking. In fact, instead of a nice welcome to the neighborhood introduction, we got told to rake our leaves because it could make our grass die and look bad. Very weird to me, but it only got worse from that moment on. Everything that we did seemed to upset Kevin and there was no actual way to please the guy. He would constantly comment that the house paint was chipped even though I could not see anything on it. He would tell me to wash my car and that he would start reporting me if I didn't keep things up to code. Again, this was a guy I never really had a conversation with and just would hear him complaining about things and threatening to report us. Those small things are not why I am writing this story though. Once winter hit, he crossed the line and that's the story I'm here today to write about. Pretty early in the winter season, we ended up getting a decent amount of snow for the area we live in. A foot is not unheard of, but not super common in early December. It was not the soft fluffy snow either, because it was below freezing, so the next morning it was heavy icy snow. It was really bad timing because I had the flu and was stuck in bed not able to do much of anything. I felt really bad because I wanted my wife to be resting because she was 8 months pregnant and should not have had to be making me soup or dealing with the snow. I told her to forget about the driveway, but she said that she might be able to do a little bit and just wanted to see. In theory, it's best to get rid of the snow in the driveway right away because you don't want it melting during the day and then freezing at night. That just creates more dangerous ice to slip on. My wife lasted only about 5 minutes outside before coming in and telling me that there was no way she could clear any of that driveway. I was too sick to even tell her that I told her so. I probably would not have anyway because you never want to piss off your very pregnant wife. The doorbell rang and my wife went to go and answer it to see what was going on. I told her that if it was people going door to door for shoveling, to just pay them to do it. Instead though, it was Kevin and my wife went outside to talk to him because we didn't want him in our house or even able to sneak in through the door. We really didn't trust the guy. While outside, he told my wife that she better clear the snow out of our driveway or he will make sure our car never gets to move again. Then he took his shovel and swung it right at my wife. My wife ran, well, hobbled as fast as she could into safety of the house and locked the door. She told me the whole story and despite being sick, I called the police and told them that our neighbor tried to attack my 8-month pregnant wife with a shovel. They came, but since there were no witnesses and she said he did it and he said he didn't, there was not anything they could do. We don't have cameras or anything, so there was no proof and we could only stay in the house that day. The next day around noon, my brother called and said that he had a snowblower and could do our driveway for us. We were happy because the last thing we wanted was for my wife to go to the hospital and the car be buried under snow. He did the job but told my wife to come outside and see something. On the car, all 4 tires had been clearly slashed with a knife. I got no doubt in my mind that Kevin did that in the middle of the night to make good on his threat. I was starting to feel better, and once I was at 100% a couple days later, I decided that I needed to get some revenge on this guy. I never really did anything like this before. I did not even pull pranks as a kid, so I was out of my depth. I decided to put my phone's microphone feature on and tried to catch him confessing. I went over and knocked on his door, ready to put my plan into action. "Kevin, what the hell do you want?" "Well, I came to talk to you about what happened with you and my wife the other day." "Kevin, that witch of yours was outside for 2 seconds before giving up. I've seen fat guys twice her size shovel in the winter with no problem." Me, first of all, she's not a witch, and second of all, she's not fat, she's pregnant. Moving around is hard for her and could hurt the baby if she lifts the snow. "Kevin, she moved fast enough when I was done with her." Me, you mean you swung a shovel at my wife? Do you even know how dangerous that is? "Kevin, keep your panties on, I was not gonna hit her in the stomach. Just to the head to maybe knock some sense into her, haha." Me, you slashed my tires, right? Are you planning on paying me back for that? "Kevin, that was a warning. Now you know better than to mess with me or to call the cops on me. You'd just be glad that it was the tires and I didn't destroy your brakes." I then had enough and left at that point, thrilled how well it turned out. I went to the police and showed them the confession that I got from him. I told them we were scared of him doing something dangerous, like he threatened about my brakes and trying to hurt us. It was apparently enough evidence for the police because they went to his house and arrested him right there. The entire time he was cursing me out and telling me that I was the worst neighbor in the world, that he was just trying to keep order and I wanted to turn it all into chaos. Sure, Kevin, whatever you say. This revenge was also perfect because it meant that Kevin had to spend the holidays in jail instead of with his family. Hopefully Santa could still deliver his huge piece of coal to his prison cell. I can put up with plenty, but trying to attack my pregnant wife was way too far for me. I don't regret tricking him into confessing and ruining his holiday. A few weeks later, my wife gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy. 2 drunk guys tried to break into our house last night and my dog protected us. I live in a college town and the neighborhood we live is populated by a lot of Greek life people, sorority girls and frat boys, but on weekends they have loud parties sometimes, so we didn't think anything out of the ordinary when we heard a lot of noise outside. I will also mention that I recently adopted a dog. Well, she was my mom's dog. She came to stay with us while my mom was away and has adjusted to living with me really well, so I've just been keeping her. My mom is also really busy and the dog is a lot for her, so she is living a more fulfilled life with me. At around 2 AM, my roommates said they heard gunshots and immediately knew this was not a typical Saturday night party. A few minutes later, they heard loud banging on our door and something smack against the window like the guys tried to break it. One of the men managed to break the lock on the door and started to come inside. My roommate who was downstairs told him to leave and that she had called the police. "Nah man, I just wanna hang out. Let me in and hang out with me," was what this guy kept repeating as he tried to grab her, obviously very intoxicated. It was at this point she noticed that the man had a gun tucked into his pants. By this time I had woken up and heard the huge commotion downstairs. My dog, a 50-pound Staffy mix who is normally very calm and loves all people and animals, was losing her mind. She was clawing at the door, barking, and kept looking at me like something was wrong. I looked at my phone and saw our roommate group chat blowing up, saying that someone was trying to break in. The second I opened the door, my dog burst through, flew down the stairs doing her angry bark, snarling and growling. I had never heard her do this before in my life. She ran straight for this guy who immediately backed out of the door, giving us time to shut it and push our couch in front of it so no one could get in. My dog stayed by the door for another hour, growling at the slightest sound and barking whenever she heard something. She potentially saved our life. The man could have shot my roommate, could have broken fully into the house and could have killed us all. Needless to say, she got lots of hugs and pats that night. I brought her to work with me this morning and got her a pop cup from Starbucks. I told everyone that she was a hero and she got even more love and pets. The cops caught the guy that tried to break in too. They said they had been looking for him for a week and that this was not his first offense. When they came to talk to us, we told them the story and my dog got even more love from the officer. Would your dog protect you from a situation like this? And yeah guys, I will just relay this question to you. Has your dog ever protected you in a similar way as the one in the story? Or in general, do you have any super positive dog stories to share? If you do, then please feel free to share them either in the comments or on r/ripestories on Reddit. Anyway, then some users in the comments shared their own dog stories, and this one started like this. We had a Cocker Spaniel for a long time who was a cute little pup but kind of fat and lazy. He would half-heartedly bark at new people but adjusted to them pretty fast and then go back to sleeping. I love that old man. However, one day when in high school though, my brother was homesick, sleeping upstairs. He gets woken up by Bailey going bonkers, whining from his spot at the bedroom door, frantically running between the door and the top of the stairs. So, brother gets up, follows him down, and a guy is standing in the middle of our kitchen after breaking in through the side door. Bailey races down the stairs still barking, and I guess both the loud dog and sudden appearance of a person was enough to scare the guy away. They caught him later that day. I don't know what might have happened had Bailey not alerted my brother. We miss you, watermelon dog. And the next one, similar story, junior year in college I lived in a student-only apartment complex. I lived in a 4-bedroom apartment with my best friend, 2 other girls we were roommates matched with, and I had a 3-year-old lab mix. We all got along great and threw a few parties, nothing crazy. One night after a party, I woke to someone opening my bedroom door. I thought it was just someone that had walked into the wrong bedroom, so I mumbled that they had the wrong room and to get out. I saw the door close and did not realize they were still in the room. I then felt them bump into my bed and my dog went bad crap crazy. I am talking about a 50-pound dog putting a Doberman's snarl to shame. She lunged off the bed and attacked the guy. He ran downstairs and out of the door. Never found out who it was. And another user said, I have a Korean Jindo, they are very loyal dogs. I had moved to a different city and was setting up my living situation before bringing her to her new home with me. During that time she was staying with my parents. My mom was home alone at the time when a guy came up to the door. The part of my country/city my parents live in is extremely safe, so safe that you can leave the door open during the day and unlock during the night and not have to worry about anything. My mom had the door open with the dog gate in it. This man starts asking if anyone is home and my mom comes and says hi and that she is not interested in what he is saying. As she was walking away, the man started to move the dog gate from the door. My mom then said that my dog Shyla came charging from the back door, growling and barking like she has never done before at the man trying to come in. The man left super quick and she stayed and guarded the front door even after my mom closed and locked the door. I am very proud of her for protecting my mom. And the next one, our story, enjoying a day at the lake house, my kids under 10, wife and I along with our Malamute at 110 pounds. And correct me if I'm wrong guys, but a Malamute I guess is some kind of Arctic husky-like dog. But please correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, since the lake house is way out, he's not kept on a leash, just a radio collar to reinforce limits. Well, a random guy apparently pulled up to the house and walked into the open backyard where the kids were playing, clearly in an altered state of mind. Malamute moves in between him and the kids, sits down and stares with teeth showing and hair standing up on his back. No sound, no growling, no barking, but damn, that was a scary stare he gave the guy. I slowly moved to tell the guy he best move on. As messed up as he was, he froze in his tracks. Told him to slowly move back up and to please leave since there was no way I could get to the dog before the dog got to him. The dude backed up, apologized and eventually ran like hell back to his car. Apparently, he was selling firewood out of the back of his truck. The dog never moved, just showed his teeth and made not a single sound, and simply stared at the guy. Hell, the dog sleeps in our bed and even I was scared at that moment. Moral of the story, even gentle giant breeds will defend their family. Spooky though, no movement, no sound, just showed his teeth while sitting erect with hair up and dead-eyed fixed in the guy. And another story, dogs are great. About 5 years ago I was walking my dog, who was a 180-pound male Great Dane. It was starting to rain, so I took a shortcut down a street that had some seedy bars. This was around 11:30 p.m. on a weekend. I'm a female. I noticed that a guy in dark clothes was following me. Anytime I looked back he would pretend to check his phone, tie his shoes, etc., but he kept gaining ground. My dog picked up that I was nervous and kept looking back. He was a big doof and didn't appear to have a mean bone in his body. Despite his imposing size, I was not counting on him. Anyways, the next street leading to mine is not well lit. It was at this point the guy ran at me and shoved me up against a wall. I dropped the leash to try and defend myself. My dog ran into the street looking terrified. The guy was wasted out of his mind and was not making sense. I struggled with him, but he was stronger than me. Then my dog literally body checked both of us. It knocked us both down and my dog stood over the guy barking in his face. When the guy rolled out from under him and got up, my dog then stood over top of me and started growling at the guy. The dude had a knife that he had dropped into the street. He picked it up and left. I truly think that damn dog saved me from being robbed or assaulted or worse. And guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then please feel free to check out my Patreon over at patreon.com/ripeyoutube, or join my YouTube membership program by clicking the join button to get access to even more exclusive videos. Thank you so much for your support and I will see you again tomorrow.